Hey, welcome to my channel. I know this is my second video for digestive system, but I'm doing it partially for me to study and partially to help you. Um, and I also wanted to show you some cool stuff here on BioDigital. Shout out to BioDigital. If you've seen my stuff and you like it and you aren't subscribed, please fix that. If you like this video, please like the video. I'll try to keep it nice and short. If you like what you see here and this is your first time, please like it. And if you want to see more like this, subscribe. Please keep in mind, I don't just do anatomy stuff. I do anything I'm comfortable doing that my viewers, that's you guys, ask for. So make sure to ask for stuff or ask me to change certain things in the comments below. That said, let's move on to the digestive system. So here on BioDigital, there's this button. When you go to a system, there's this button. This button gives you information about whatever thing you're doing. Yes, I'm doing male because I am male. I'm not anti-feminist. That's the system I actually use on my body, so I'm more familiar with it. This button lets you turn on or turn off certain things. I've turned off the integumentary system because it's distracting and useless to this video right now. It's basically just your skin. The digestive system, and I turned off anything that isn't what we're going over. Right here, you can't see it because my face is blocking it, but there's some epimucosa on the colon. There's these little extra packets and stuff that I turned off. But basically everything that I didn't cut out is stuff we're going to need to know for the test. My friends will need to know it. If you don't get everything, that's okay. But just terms, this will help you with terms, and also I might babble a little bit. If this does run long, I promise it'll be because it's entertaining. So bear with me. All right, first up, you see how I'm zooming in and zooming out? That's using the scroll feature on my mouse. Right here, there's this button that's pan for anatomy. That turns it off from drag, where if I drag it, it actually moves around, and if I turn pan off, back off, I actually rotate the model. So I'm going to turn pan back on and then zoom in on a certain part, which is the beginning of the digestive system. All right, so I didn't cut out anything up here. All I did was on the colon, but we don't technically need to know all of these salivary glands, but they're very useful. I'm using them right now. There's the palatine gland, which my Lincoln friends won't need to know this year, at least. There's the molar gland, which again my Lincoln friends won't need to know this year. There's the palatine gland, which my Lincoln friends will need to know this year. The submandibular, the sublingual, both of which will also be needed to remember. To remember these, remember parotid is just on the periphery. It's next to your cheeks. It's right here, you're pushing on them. Palatine, remember that it's right over the top of the palatine bone on your palate, right here. Submandibular, it's right here underneath the mandible, your jaw. And sublingual, if you're multilingual, you can speak lots of languages, and another term for language is tongue. So sublingual means under the tongue. This you don't need to know, but it's helpful, and that's the gingiva. It's your gums, right here. If you have gingivitis, it's the inflammation-itis of your gingiva, your gums, gingivitis. And this is your oral cavity. Like this is just basically highlighting all of your mouth and the skin in it. Remember, all of this whole, all of this, like all of the things except for the pancreas and the liver are technically external because they're skin right here and all the way down. And then very important in here in the mouth that's not shown actually are the teeth. The teeth are very important in the mouth because they grind and smash your food. And your tongue, which shapes your food so that it becomes a bolus. Say it with me, bolus. B-O-L-U-S. As it goes down your esophageal tract, which, of course, begins with your pharynxes. There's your oropharynx, your mouth pharynx, your laryngopharynx, your voice box pharynx, and this is your larynx, which covers your voice box. There's another flip lid here, which I don't know if they've shown it here on Biodigital. Oh, they did, I think. Nope, that's part of your tongue. Nope. But there's another flip lid that goes in this spot that covers your windpipe while you swallow. It's very important, otherwise I'd be dying. This is your esophagus. Does anyone notice that FAG, fag, means eat in Latin? So this is just your esophagus, eater. And then this your liver. Your liver is split into the left and right lobes. Like your brain lobes, but it's just a liver lobe. Remember, liver just stores minerals and makes bile, which is used to break down fat. This is your gallbladder where it keeps the bile. And this is the bile duct where it puts the bile into your small intestine. See? This is your stomach, which is split into multiple parts. The fundus, this upper part. One moment, I have it written down here in case Biodigital didn't have it. These notes are courtesy of Wardlaw and my messy handwriting. So the top part of the stomach is the fundus because it's fun and it's the spot where extra food goes. It's and the bottom bit is called the pylorus, and this sphincter right here between the esophagus and the stomach is called your cardial esophageal sphincter. Cardia. Why cardia? That's your heart. That's the word for heart. Well, it turns out this is actually right here. This empty space is where your heart is, and it's right there. So whatever. This your pancreas. Your pancreas is very important in your digestive system. It's not technically part of the external stuff that is your digestive system, but it makes all of this juice, this very important juice that goes straight into your duodenum. No, your duodenum. Right after it leaves this acid, your bolus. After that, remember that bolus, that slosh of food that went into your stomach? Well, after it spent some time in the acid pit that is your stomach, it turned into chyme. Say it with me, chyme. Spelled C-H-Y-M-E. And went into the duodenum. That's this first bit of the small intestine where it's just throwing enzymes at that chyme. And bile and stuff to break down the big molecules to make it so that it's smaller and can be, absorbed in the jejunum, which means empty, because this is like always empty when they cut open corpses, and your ileum. So say it with me: duodenum, jejunum, ileum. Ileum is way longer than both these combined, which I'm actually going to show you by turning this figure around. See, your ileum is actually much, much, much longer than your jejunum. Your ileum actually starts right here. Your jejunum or your duodenum put together, and it's where all of the absorption takes place, where all that So your food, when it was chyme, it was like all this big molecules and proteins and fats, and it's just like this liquidy stuff. Well, when it enters the duodenum, um, it's still chyme, but then it's bombarded by this bile that breaks down the fats specifically so that it can be. Ugh. And remember, fats are like these long chains of carbon, hydrogen, carbon, hydrogen, carbon, hydrogen, um, times a billion, um, and all and bile salts help it so that the hydrogen that's sticking to the other hydrogen that's sticking to the other hydrogen gets all broken up and smoothed out, and enzymes break up that chain into more manageable chunks so that it can be absorbed into the body later for use. And not only does it do this for fats, it also does it for proteins and for other things like carbs and materials. And yeah, if you don't have an enzyme for it, it doesn't get broken down, which is why certain kinds of sweeteners have 0 calories, because you don't have an enzyme for it, and 85% of it comes out in your poo. The other 15% leads way to the fact that of phagocytosis. Remember, phag means eat, and cytosis means it's a cellular process. So when a cell membrane wraps around something and encases it in a bubble, that's phagocytosis. And all along your digestive system, except maybe the stomach, your cells can and often do perform phagocytosis to get those things that just are still useful, but can't be broken down with enzymes. But if it's not useful, it gets filtered out of the blood, which is where it goes if it gets out of the digestive system and into your body. And if it's filtered out of the blood, it goes out in your pee. So the other 15% of that artificial sweetener with 0 calories is in your pee. Or it got sorted out in the liver because your liver caught it and wants to keep it, to keep you safe from it. But unfortunately, because of phagocytosis, it's not just artificial sweetener that'll come in. It's also incomplete molecules that haven't been broken down completely. It's also stuff like lead, gold, silver, copper, stuff that just doesn't belong in your blood. So your liver is supposed to get most of that, but when it doesn't, and when it does get it, it just kind of sits in your liver for the rest of your life. So don't eat lead and don't do drugs. And if it doesn't get in the liver, it can cause serious damage up here or on your body. Or if you're lucky, your kidneys and spleen catch it and it goes in your pee. After it goes, stuff goes through the duodenum into the jejunum into the ileum. It then goes into this little bit on the front. It then goes into this ascending colon. That's the part of your colon that goes up because it's ascending. And you see this little very sad flagellate of flesh. Well, on humans, we call it an appendix, but on most animals, it's called a cecum. And anyone who is in class yesterday, that would be Monday for me, in my class, will remember this. This is comparative physiology between humans. That's human, right? Yeah. Humans and other mammals. And you'll see some really weird things. Remember, form follows function. So if it's shaped like that, it's for a reason. Consider all of these things, particularly the cecum. The cecum is just, on humans, it's basically useless. It's this little flagellate of flesh that comes out one side of our large intestine. But A cecum is technically a pocket of the large intestine for extra space that enzymes and food gets to sit and be compressed into extra energy. And, extra things get to be done in it. So on pigs, they need it a little bit more than humans do, because humans cook and burn all of the crap out of their all of it out of their food, and so it's the cecum. What do you need a cecum for? It's basically useless. But pigs, dogs, all of these, they kind of need a cecum, especially the plant eaters like sheep, horses, and koalas. They need a little bit larger cecum, like the sheep. It's got kind of big, and the kangaroo is kind of big, and on the dog and pig and orangutan, it's a little bit bigger than human, but meh. You see, the orangutan is kind of extra long, but still thin for extra, because it eats plants more than humans do, but it doesn't eat plants all that much, and it doesn't break down plants all that much. And so it does need extra room for bacteria and stuff. But other than that, it's just most of it takes place in the rest of the large intestine. But then you look at the koala and you think, what in the world, koala? Your large intestine, half of it is cecum. Half of that large intestine is cecum. What in the world, koala? What do you eat that needs that much cecum? Then you stop and think. Eucalyptus. You all know what's in the eucalyptus leaves, right? That's the sole thing. That's the only thing that koalas eat. What's in eucalyptus that needs this much processing? Well, eucalyptus has eucalyptus oil, no doubt. But eucalyptus oil is like, if it's in your body, you will die. Like only koalas can eat eucalyptus and be fine, mostly fine. They spend 23 hours out of every 24 sleeping off the toxins and using all of that energy that they, except for the energy in that extra hour of the day, digesting this. Koalas are basically evolutionary failures, but they get by because they have no competition. Nothing else can eat eucalyptus. So, somehow. And where else would you see a cecum this fat? Horses, yeah, their cecum is huge, and I mean, technically the size of a boot, not that you'd want to wear it as one. Oh. But a koala, I mean, it's half the large intestine. Half the large intestine! What in the world? There are actually other mammals that need this. That would be pandas and bamboo lemurs. Because what do they eat? They eat bamboo. And bamboo leaves are like filled to the brim with cyanide. Cyanide! When people eat cyanide, like just a little bit, they die. Like almost instantly. It's an effective way for that some soldiers carry around cyanide so as to avoid, giving up information for torture. But anyway, cyanide. So to cope with cyanide, pandas and bamboo lemurs spend all of this energy digesting it and putting it in their liver and sorting it out so that it doesn't kill them. And somehow they can eat cyanide. Yep, they can eat bamboo leaves that are filled to the brim with cyanide. So I'd imagine the thing that evolves to eat plastic is going to have the same kind of things going on. Oh, and bamboo lemurs and pandas and koalas are a little chubby. It's not just fur, it's a little chub too. Because in a mammalian system, to my understanding, I could be wrong about this, but in a mammalian system, they take toxins, and if they can't keep it in the liver, and they can't get it out in the pee, for whatever reason, then they take the toxin, they bind it, they cover in water and fat, just leave it in the adipose cells where you store fat, and it just sits there. And it can be taken out and put into the pee through a long and painful process, but it isn't always, and in humans rarely. So humans living in kind of toxic environments, you get a little chubby, and so do koalas and bamboo lemurs and pandas eating all cyanide and eucalyptus oil. It's gonna kill you. But I digress. Oh, and I made it. Okay, if it's long, I do hope it's because it's entertaining. All right, so if your liver and if your pancreas and stomach and mouth were all for breaking things, then your liver and your small intestine was for absorbing the food itself, and a little bit of water most of the water at the end. Then your colon, that's your large intestine, is for two reasons. It does a minimal bit of a digestion, mostly phagocytosis, but it also does all of the water reabsorption, so that all this leftover chyme that's all liquidy gets turned from this pudding after it leaves the small intestine to like hard, compact things, and we get to use that water and not waste it. And it's very important for humans because we don't use water very efficiently in our food, and we need to pee all the time because we eat lots of protein, and when you break down protein, you get amine, which look up aminase, deaminase, and look into how breaking down proteins gets you kind of ammonia. So instead of having ammonia floating around, which would also kill you, your body takes this aminase, which is on the end of amino acids. On one end of the amino acid is, so if an amino acid is an upside down T, then on this side of the T is an amine group, which is a nitrogen and two hydrogens, and on this side is an acid group. And on the up T is like carbon, hydrogen, carbon, hydrogen, carbon, hydrogen. This of which can be put into the mitochondria furnace for cell energy, or could be reused, and however many of that it has codes for the specific, tells you what particular amino acid it is. So, but when you break it down and put this part into the mitochondria furnace where it burned, it gives you energy. This part just kind of floats off, and the hydrogen from the acid group and the and this, what do you get when you have a nitrogen and three hydrogens? You get ammonia. And so to avoid having a buildup of ammonia in your cells jettison it to the blood, and the liver, no, not the liver, and the kidneys and the spleen take this ammonia-like stuff and turn it into urea, which is like just basically a bunch of almost ammonias piled together, where it's not as toxic as ammonia, not as basic alkaline as ammonia. It's not good for you, but it's not as bad for you. And then it puts it into your bladder separately, where you pee it out. For animals that had to deal with this protein aminase a lot, they need to pee a lot to make sure it's not in them, burning a hole in them after, like 48 hours. No, not 48 hours. It would burn a hole in you, but it would if it were ammonia. But urea, if it just sits there and eats away for too long, yeah, it can cause bladder infections, but urea isn't as dangerous. But for predators like humans who eat lots of meat, or tigers or lions, they need to pee a lot, so they have to have water to hold that. So back to the point, we need to take back any water we can, as much as we can, so that we're not dying. So that's what mostly this is for, so that for water reabsorption. So we get that last 10% water out of this kind of pudding-ish kind that came out of our small intestine and kind of just got put out into this extra big part. So we use the colon to, get the water back out and turn this pudding-ish chyme into a little brick of waste that we're not going to use. And it's just going to be jettisoned, out the back end toilet. This is called feces. This lump of brown stuff is called feces, and as it's pudding, it gets worked up the ascending colon and becomes less puddingy as it crosses the transverse colon. Basically turns into the finished bricks as it goes down the descending or the going down, transverse going across, descending going down colon, and it's pretty much all done and ready to be jettisoned at the sigmoid and colon. And it's called a sigmoid colon because it looks kind of like a lowercase Greek sigma. Kind of. I mean, if you twist your imagination a bit, it looks kind of like a Greek sigma. And if it's sitting here, it's basically ready. It's just sitting there waiting for you to get rid of it. And then it goes to the rectum, where the muscles in your rectum that you control, like let's make that sound again. All right. So about the muscle here, all along this, there's smooth muscle, mostly just rhythmic, mostly regular pumping of smooth muscle as it moving food down along. But here at the rectum and up here at the mouth, we want some control because, on your mouth, you want to be able to do it, shape it so that it's not, so it's conscious. And then, this button is center view, so that it goes back to this. At the end, you want to have some control because, well, A, it's socially awkward to just in the middle of the street, and B, because we don't always have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. A hashtag reference. So skeletal at the beginning and end so that we can control it, and all along the middle is just smooth. It's just automatic. I hope you didn't try to do this during lunch or when you were about to eat, because I did not find this appetizing in the least, though I probably will go eat Takis because I like Takis. If you enjoyed the video, if you found me funny, like, comment if you want to see more like this, subscribe if you want to see different stuff, but like the way I talked. Subscribe and tell me what you want me to be doing. If I don't feel comfortable doing it, I'll let you know. But if I am comfortable doing it, the first you'll hear about it is I'll say I'll do it in a video, and then I'll do it. Yeah, just ask. That's how these things get done. Thank you for watching, and shout out to Hippo Video, which will be on for about 6 seconds because they recorded this stuff with their software. Shout out also to my friends at Lincoln High, who I made this video mainly for, especially Mr. Wardlaw, our teacher, and peace.